Welcome to the Disrupt Education Podcast. I have Aakash Dave here. Aakash, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, man.
No, love it. Thanks for making me share the same screen space. I love the energy.
Oh,
Excited to
great.
be here.
Yeah, well, let's give the audience. I know a little bit about you, and if people look you up on LinkedIn, they'll know about you. But can you give the audience a little bit of who is Aakash and what are you all about?
If you see professionally, I'm creator and chief of this incubator called Colab. I also run another company called Spotmi. It's a social network. So this is a bit of me on that side. But generally, if you just get to know me, that's I'm more of a learner, a doer, an engineer. So all things mixed together. I like to make stuff. I like collaborations. I like blending in, working on different technologies. So that's technically me. So yeah, if you sum it up, if it's more casual, so that's the answer to that.
Well, we'll dig into that. Actually, the collab is,
Sure.
is what we're here to talk about, and then people can ask around. Just a creative guy and somebody who actually creates things and helps others really connect. But before we jump into collab and all that. I got to ask, what kind of student was Aakash? Like, what kind of learner were you, and how did you figure out that you were this person that wants to create and do some engineering and build collaborations?
So learners. So if I start, I think so back in mid school, I was a bit I was a bit introvert. So I used to be in my own alley, just doing stuff. But then as and when I transcended. So I was fortunate enough to study at the Ivy schools and the good schools where a lot of things are encouraged to the students, and we have a lot of projects and all those things starting back at school time. That's when the knack of starting something or doing something on my own started. And I met this friend of mine, and we just used to jam about different concepts and different ideas. And I was good with academics for sure. Yeah, we used to work great with that. But a lot of my attention and focus used to go on things outside school. So it was a tech boom, in the world. It was like the World Wide Web was growing crazy at that point of time, and I was sure interested in internet, computers, everything else besides it. So yeah, that was me. And I remember this one interview I had with a principal. So she asked me what. So it was an interview where I had to get into school, and the first thing she asked me, "All right, leave everything else aside. What's one thing that you really want to be?" And I had no idea, and I just answered, "I want to be a CEO." So it's an interesting story because my dad, he's into infrastructure and he has that position. So I've seen him with those responsibilities and things going around. So without any idea what they do, I just wanted to have that. But as and when things move forward, I tried and I learned about those things, how technically what goes into creation of businesses and all that. So that was me. I used to work on different ed tech platforms. So there used to be something called Topper Learning, and this was back in India. And then again, it was a lot. It was way ahead of its time. I'm talking about 2010, 2009, and we used to just collab. I used to take printouts and just share it with my friends, and we used to just be on Facebook, sort of do like groups and just parties, study parties and things. So yeah, that's where it started from. Moved into college. College was great. We started working on, college. It just gave us a bigger platform to explore more of ourselves and our creativity. So that was there. And then, the extrovert part of me just exploded. So then I had professors, just having me barge in the rooms with different ideas and doing things. So yeah, that was me, and yeah, things move forward. Here I am. And yeah, so pretty dynamic, I would say, a pretty hybrid in terms of, on and off, and making things as a student.
One thing you said there that it really resonates with me and a lot of the students that I have, especially in the States as secondary educator, is like
Yeah.
I focused on the things outside of school. And I think one of the things that we're going to talk about is how do we bring academics and your life and your interests together. And I think I know that's where we're going to go down the road with Colab. So what was the difference? Did you do any K through 12 school here in the States, or was that whole path in India?
It was whole path in India
Hmm.
itself. However, a lot of schools that I was associated with used to follow the US curriculum, or I would say like the IB curriculum,
Got it.
where we actually had to work on certain things.
Yeah.
So most of it was Oxford education. And then I remember like my high school project. So we used to have this I think so. Yeah, just as IB has CAS projects, I suppose everyone has that. We had this thing at our Oxford schools where you actually have to build a product which has to have a real life resonance to it. So my uncle runs, and they run an airline company. So it's a lot of people do know about it. It's called MakeMyTrip.com. So all I had to do is like pull up an API, and I just didn't know anything about programming back then. So I used to skip my classes, go to my CS teacher, and be like, "Hey, what? Could you just teach me this?" And it was fun. Like, she was super accommodative. We used to work together on those. So yeah, it was something like that. I agree on that part. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And by the way, I'm an aviation geek, so I have to check that out. Love the
Okay.
airplanes. Well, let's dig in then. So let's start here. If you could go back into education, your own journey, how would you make it better? Or maybe you are, and this might be the intro to Colab and the other things that you're doing. How are you actually taking your experiences and your friends' experiences, like study parties and things like that? Those two really didn't go together, but now they kind of do. Yeah, how are you taking these things and moving forward and changing the way that we learn?
It actually anchors back to that point when I mentioned about the topperlearning.com, this edtech that was in the earliest of the late 2010s or 2000s. And so it actually started off from there itself. It was more of them just, so they used to be an online platform just as YouTube, but super focused on K-12 education. So there used to be sessions on biology, on physics and chemistry and maths, all the STEM stuff. And all we had to do is, after school, we could just log in and we could view those things, take out printouts. But it used to be seriously monotonous stuff. So it was like, it was a high quality, like high production, commercial quality Udemy videos. That's it. Just there were still monologues of people going on, but I mean, I couldn't interact much. And one of the biggest things it missed, and I'll also come to it, a lot of places it does miss today as well, is the community aspect of it. And more than that, collaborations, or just a touch where I can get a push from a friend, or two. And so what I used to do is I used to take out printouts of the notes they used to give, and there were like a bunch of those notes. So I used to just hand it over to my friends. All of them used to love it because, again, not everyone could afford a lot of those subscription-based things. And yeah, so we used to create Facebook groups over there. So Facebook was super new. Everyone was loving it. So Facebook groups it was. And yeah, we used to sit down, be on conference calls with each other, just, talk about stuff, studies, either talk about points or maybe just blend up in school at the end of the day and just talk more. So that was something which was really right just when it comes to education. Like it's collaborative, it's together. You cannot just sit down and you'll get bored, right? And more than bored, you just distract yourself. So I wish I had that aspect, where I wish there was some tool that could actually guide me through that. And not just academics, but I was really interested in how things work, right? If it's about, for example, if you're, let's talk about aviation. If it's, planes. So if there are propellers or thrusters, how do they work? Like how real physics goes into there, so I can correlate them together. So things like that would have been really helpful. And yeah, hopefully we're working with that on Colab. So we'll definitely come to it in a bit. But yeah, just to answer your question, that was something I really hope was there.
It is very interesting in this day and age. And then you go post pandemic or wherever the heck we are. But like, we learned a lot of that, right? I mean, there was a sit and get doesn't work online there. And obviously schools and education and learning is a social, there's a huge social piece to that, right?
Agreed.
And, I think here in America, and you probably see this in California as well, like there's a lot of, like we have to let go of control and we have to like get into the sandbox, if you will. And I think this is something that our listeners are going to be really interested in hearing, because at the end of this month, we're going to have this place where Colab is going to put something out there. Let me preface this with, I have a junior in high school, right? And he's already starting to, what's next, right? We're not putting the immense amount of pressure on him. We know kind of what his skill sets are and such, and he's very hands-on and such. But we asked him, what kind of programs do you want? And we put a couple of them out there. And you know what his first question is? And this is something that's very interesting. I think this is worldwide, is how much does it cost? Very cost conscious kids these days, understanding,
Right.
what do things, there's an immense cost to secondary education or there's not. So there's different ways to do this. So, and then so you have 3 days here. I'm gonna let you explain it, but there's college, there's different careers and entrepreneurship programs within this. So, well, let's jump in. What is ColabCon 22? What is Colab? What is ColabCon 22? And then yeah, walk us through it.
So Colab, this actually came from two different aspects of my life. One was the education and the entrepreneurship aspect. And this dates back, when I was raising funds for Spotmi, one of my first companies. And so there used to be a lot of these networking events and places, and you see there are a lot of these startup incubators. A bunch of people forming an organization, funding these companies, and providing extensive amount of support in terms of resources, connections, all those things. And then comes the the aspect that is the post-pandemic opportunity, where things went just remote and people started to get comfortable with that. And again, since they were alone, but they still wanted to do something. And it was with education, right? Ed tech just grew a lot. More courses started selling, people started selling anything. And more than that, people just wanted to grab more education, learn things back and forth. So we blended those two aspects. So instead of just, startups receiving those benefits, why not bring it to education? So Colab is actually a program accelerator. What we do here is we do boot camps like, programs, which ranges from 6 to 8 months. But there's a twist in it. Within those 6 to 8 months, you sit down with 15 people just like you. Now, when I mean just like you, they are some of the good people, some of the greatest students, people who are just really ready to learn, not just grades or better grades or something. We understand we just bring everyone together in a community, and you sit down and you just get on to hands-on learning. You sit down with an Ivy League professor or one of the best professors from the good universities, so that you actually get to know what's happening, and not just, someone random like me who gets on a Udemy and starts teaching music. So that is definitely left out. So yeah, we worked with our instructors on rigorous programs, and which is super focused on project-based learning. For example, if you're learning about computer sciences, right, you actually get down to work on creating a genuine product from scratch. In terms of startups, you actually create a company. And that's what happened with one of our previous cohorts. Students actually ended up creating a company. They actually made money out of it. And a lot of that was, we helped them support it, and things went further than that. Also, within those 6 weeks, we introduced people to the folks in the industry. For example, again, let's go back to the example of computer sciences. We'll bring on people from Google, from Facebook, and different engineering teams, so that you can actually get to blend in and network, on like starting with their career itself. So you don't have to go out and do a cold email, just waste a lot of time in doing that. We'll just do that for you. You're here to learn, and we'll help do anything that facilitates that. So that's what happens. So within those 6 weeks, you tend to get a lot of educational, enlightenment, if you say that, or that learning. You second, network with a lot of people. At third, you actually have something in your portfolio, something that resonates with real world, something that you can take down to those companies, to people, to colleges, that makes sense, and something. It's a lot of times, high school, programs do things that are gimmicky or something that's really childish, if I say so. But this is really serious work. We just, for once, we're going to change the narrative of the high schoolers and their work and everything above in the higher education to be taken more seriously. So now you have something serious, and you don't even have to worry about going to companies. We actually bring them to you. So we have something called as micro internships. Now, as and when you start working on these projects, you start to collaborate. We actually open up doors to different opportunities and internships directly through us. So all you have to do is just like the best company that works with you, they'll give you a requirement that, okay, you know what, hey, this is the project we want you to work on. If you do this, you're in. And that's what happens. You actually intern with them for 3 months. You have an option to switch a company and start learning something new, something more out of your bounds, breaking your comfort zone, or you can wish to stay back. At the same time, you can constantly have all the support from us for the rest of your life. So that's what Colab is. And so to go into the zone of Colab Con, actually 2022, this is something we'd love to do with our summer this year. A lot of students, I've seen it personally, and this comes from my personal experience with a conversation with a niece of mine in 2020. It was summer. People just sit there, there are these summer programs. either in robotics or something. Just it's okay. It's the same thing that happens every year. What if we can just make it into something that's more party style, more educational, something that's super interesting, and you look forward to go. So again, it's summer. People are looking for three things: internships. They're looking for amazing, summer programs and college. So 3 days of college, career, and counseling and internships. All this days open for you. So within those 3 days, you actually sit down, you listen to the dean of admissions at Ivy League professors. You talk to people from like University of California, the program managers over there. You talk to people who are district heads. You talk to YouTubers just like you, who are in Harvard, who are in other colleges around the world. They are in different programs. That it's not necessarily from a tech background. They are from medical. They are from psychology, journalism. All these people blending together, and you actually get to know what it is like to be at college or to transition yourself while you're in college. The second day actually talks about a lot about programs. So we give you a complete peek on what it is like, to be in one of the collab programs. And more than being in collab programs, we talk about how the real world, projects, for example, let's talk about YouTube, how that is applied in, your AP subjects. So how your AP subjects can correlate with that, how economics, for example, monopoly, and there's something called as oligopoly, or the market competitions, how those affect, the product you're building. That, and then we are going to have a lot of these products, productivity tools like Adalo, Butter, a lot of these tools given out for free to our students so they can start building stuff. And the last day, we'll introduce them to a lot of these companies where they can just talk to the founders, the CEOs, the executives of the, who run that organization, and just talk and understand and learn what they expect, how your work would impact their project. So all that, again, there'll be a bunch of music, bunch of, interesting parties, networking events. It's super fun. So yeah, that's there. And one of the interesting things we are doing right now is everyone who goes there gets access to Colab for the next 6 months. So it's all open. You can have, technically, just think of this 3-day conference will be stretched for the next 6 months.
And basically the reason I started this entire podcast was how to do that, right? And there's several different ways, but this is an amazing way. It's a great event, really, and it's what are the dates that it starts in July?
Yeah, so we are doing it on 29th to 31st. That's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Thursday. Starts at 9:30 Central Time.
And I think I got to ask, how old is this niece of yours who actually came up with this idea with you?
She actually, she just graduated high school. She was a rising freshman.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the reason.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know, because, one of the things we talk about, and you've stated it several times, is rigor, right? What is rigor? Is rigor like, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of stuff to memorize and then the AP exams and blah, blah, blah? Or is rigor like you're talking about, hey, let's get some real stuff out there. Let's get some real people.
Yes.
Let's get some real experiences, and let's talk real, right? Which I love about that. Going through, the details of this, where can people find the information on this, and how do they sign up for it?
So you can go to letscollab.online, and there'd be if you are there, just go on the top bar. It says Con 2022. That's Colab Con. Or you can just go to letscollab.online/CON Con, and then you're just right there. All you need to do is register, and we'll take care of you as an event. You are there. So yeah, everyone's welcome. We're just looking forward to an amazing event. There's a lot of promo codes, a lot of people, a lot of networking you could do. You could find people from across the states. Everyone wants to do something out of it. And beyond that, we also will be having Peter in one of the sessions. So that's one of the cool things. Yeah. Yes,
obviously. Peter is a great dude, and you want to be on that. So,
100%.
I have a last final question. You going through your own experiences and skipping class and taking those small risks and sitting down with the principal or sitting down with somebody who to teach you something. I always like to round out the podcast with what would you say to a high schooler who's a little bit confused on what they want to do. As we know, like, it's kind of archaic. I mean, our high school system is there's a lot of outdatedness in it. There's a lot of emerging things here, and this is an opportunity for students to do. But what would you tell that 15, 16, 17-year-old student that's actually going to help them in the next generation of workers, creators, or what have you?
For the first thing, I would say join Colab.
Yep.
We'll take care of you. It's going to be awesome. And the other thing you could do is essentially just start doing what you want to do. For example, if I talk about me, as I said, I was really interested in computers. Now, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I initially wanted to be a designer. Then I transitioned to an engineer. Then I'm a more product-facing guy. It definitely comes by experience. You're young. There's a lot of things to do. So just start doing it. Do not hesitate to approach a lot of people. I've done a lot of cold emailing myself. I've approached different companies' CEO randomly and gotten the ideas, and then sort of whatever I needed, I just ask. So this is actually even mentioned in Steve Jobs' book. He used to just like email people. I think so. He emailed the HP or Dell's CEO for an internship one of the summer, and he got it. So that's honestly what he could do. The people are ready. Like, there is help out there. Just go get it. It's again, you miss 100% of shots you don't take. So just take the shots. Go ahead. Do what you want to do. Put in more time in yourself. Definitely, that's going to pay off. It might take a little time, but it will pay off. That technically would build a personality around you. And honestly, that is something that you would want going further in the future.
Getting students out of their comfort zone just slightly, not in anything big, and asking for help, and it's out there, especially in this world. Aakash, I want to thank you so much for sharing the story. The website,
Appreciate
one
it.
more time for Colab is?
It's letscollab.online. And you can do a /con for the conference, or you can just find it up top. And for everyone, I'll just spell out, it's letscolab.online, and online is spelled as usual.
Got it.
Usually people just put an LL, but that's double L. So yeah.
It's all good. I will have that link in the notes to the show for everybody to jump into. And again, thank you so much for sharing your educational journey and this amazing program. I am actually going to, right after this podcast, chat with my son about it. So I can't wait to see what kind of things come about. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Awesome. I would love to hear back from you. No, appreciate it. Thank you. It was a wonderful chat.
All right. Thank you all for listening. We'll catch you next time on Disrupt Education.